Alright, I promise these videos will cover more a lot quicker. So let's go. That second video was rough. Alright, use the angle sum or difference. So we get to pick. Now, the choices we have are right here. And we got cosine of A plus B or cosine of A minus B. And these are problems you got to show your work, because you could easily type that in your calculator and just get some decimal for it. That's not what the goal is. The goal is to manipulate these numbers to find the exact value. That means no calculator answers. So be careful. So what you need to do is decide what two numbers. Remember, the two numbers you pick, if I picked 104 plus 1, it's true. But these aren't going to work. They want you to practice your 30, 60, 45 reference angle situations. Having said that, I can kind of see that 60 and 45 adds up to 105. So I'm going to do that, 60 plus 45. Now if I put 45 plus 60, that'll be fine. The formula will take care of it. So this one is going to be our cosine of A plus B, as you can see, cosine, cosine minus sine, sine. So we're going to go cosine of, I'm going to call it x cosine y minus sine x sine y. So here's my x, here's my y. Plug and chug. Cosine of 60, cosine of 45 minus sine of 60, sine of 45. Well, we're going to draw a little reference angle here of 60. That means that's my square root of 3. That's my 2. That's my 1. So what's cosine? 1/2. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Cosine of 45. That'd be 1 square root of 2. Here's my 45-degree angle. So cosine would be 1 over the square root of 2. I'm not going to worry about that square root right now. You'll get used to that, because we're going to get common denominators in a minute. Sine of 60 takes me up here, square root of 3 over 2. Sine of 45, opposite over hypotenuse. We're going to mix these, we're going to combine these, 1 over 2 square root of 2. And then we get minus the square root of 3 over 2 square root of 2. Notice we got common denominators. Funky looking, but we're going to add the numerators, but we can't. So we're just going to show it like this. And now we got to get rid of that radical. Good time to do that. Multiply the bottom by the square root of 2. Notice I'm not worried about that. And then this, square root of 2. Distribute, distribute. I'm going to write my answer up here because I'm running out of space for the next problem. So I get the square root of 2 minus the square root of 6. The roots fly off, so that square root of 2 square root of 2 is 2 times 2 is 4. And don't you dare reduce these even numbers. Oil, oil, water. No way. Don't reduce it. Leave it. So now we got sine of 375. Well, again, when it ends in 5, you're more than likely going to use 45. So I'm going to take a stab, shot in the dark, and I'm going to go 45 plus, and then that would be 330. There's quite a few variations of this, but we're going to stick with this. So we got u plus v, or x plus y, or a plus b, whatever. So we're going to check out our sine. So it's sine, cosine, cosine, sine with a plus. Sine, cosine, cosine, sine with a plus. So give me a second, I'll save a little time here. Okay, so I've taken this, I've used my sine formula, put things in the proper spots. Now I got to figure out what these pieces are. Sine of 45, I can steal that. That's 1 over the square root of 2. 330, I spun my spinner, 330, leaving me with 30. So opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Cosine would be the square root of 3 over 2. That's adjacent over hypotenuse. Plus cosine would be adjacent over hypotenuse. And then sine of 330 would be opposite over hypotenuse. That'd be negative 1/2. This is going to look a lot like that. So square root of 3 all over 2 square root of 2 minus 1 over 2 square root of 2. So this time we get the square root of 3 minus 1 over 2 square root of 2. We're one step away. Square root of 2, square root of 2. Bounce, bounce. We get the square root of 6. I'm going to squeeze this in. Minus the square root of 2. This is 2 times 2 is 4. So that would be our answer. And that's what we're going to be looking for. All right. Next problemo. It says use the angle sum or difference formula to simplify the given expression. Find its exact value. So what we got to do is just kind of recognize what this looks like. We got cosine, cosine plus sine, sine. Well, that's a minus, so there it is. Cosine, cosine plus sine, sine. So they're saying cosine of a minus b. Use that. So this is cosine of a minus b. So we're like, there's my a, there's my b. So we just got to subtract. So that'd be cosine of 71 minus 26. Hopefully I don't screw this up. What would that be? 45. And then it says find the exact value, meaning you're not done. Well, I can just take that drawing, steal it. Cosine's adjacent over hypotenuse. And that's how you're supposed to do it, and that's your final answer. So we got sine, cosine, cosine, sine. Let's look for that one. Sine, cosine, cosine, sine with a plus. With a plus. So that means we're going to use this one, sine of a plus b. So sine, add this to this, and we're just going to get 60. So we can steal this drawing over here, opposite over hypotenuse, square root of 3 over 2. There's our final answer. All right, these are more typical. Now it says use the double angle formula to simplify. It doesn't say find the exact value, so all it says is simplify. And so we got to find this on our double angle formula, and isn't it nice? They've got these 4 of them right here listed. So we just have to find cosine squared minus sine squared. Cosine squared minus, so it's cosine of double A. So this turns into cosine, and all you got to do is double your angle. So that's 16x. That's all they want. Sine, cosine. Well, that would be right here. Sine. Whoops, sorry. It's actually 2 sine cosine. So there's 2 sine cosine. So we got to go that way. That means turn it into sine and double the angle. So this thing turns into sine, double the angle, and those are lickety split. All right, number 11. Find the exact value of the trigonometric function. Well, we got to realize that secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. There's a couple different ways of thinking of it. So they're saying find the hypotenuse over the adjacent of 270. Well, spin your spinner, 270. I say stop just shy of it. Let's take our magnifying glass out and figure out what's going on. Well, as you can see, this is my opposite. This is my hypotenuse. And my adjacent is the smallest. That means that's the one that disappears. How can you have 0 in the denominator? You can't. So that is undefined, no solution. Okay, let's go on to letter B. Again, cosecant. What's that the reciprocal of? That's the reciprocal of sine. What's sine? Opposite over hypotenuse. So we got to spin the spinner. 2 times 60, which is 120. So there's 90 and 30, leaving us with 60. Doesn't say use a unit circle, so we can use our values that are simple. I'm going to call that a 1, but it has to be negative. Square root of 3, 2. Well, opposite over hypotenuse, because it's a reciprocal, we got to find hypotenuse over opposite. So we get 2 over the square root of 3, because that's the opposite side of our reference angle. I don't know if they'll leave it like that. I doubt it, because they normally clear it out for these special right triangles. So there's the exact value. All right, let's keep going. Negative 603. Well, if I went around a full circle, that'd be 360. So that'd be 243. I better double check that. That just seems weird. I don't know why I'm doubting it, but here we go. 603 minus 360. Yeah, all right, 243. So I go negative 360. I got to keep going, 243. Something tells me this might be a typo. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm just going to chalk this up as a strange one. No typo. So that means we have to keep going 243. So there's 180. And I'm just going to prove something here a second. So 180. So that means we need to go 63 more. So that would be right here, 63. And so that would leave us with, what would this be? If this is 63 and this is 90, that'd be 27 plus 90. That'd be just like spinning your spinner 117 degrees. My reference angle is 63. So either this is a typo or this isn't a special triangle, so we could do one of a few things. We could just make sure our calculator is in degree mode. It was not. Good thing we checked. And so now I could just go cosine of 117, because that'd be the same. They're coterminal angles. So that'd be negative 0.453. Now I could have just went cosine negative 603 right off the bat, get the same thing. But yeah, so if you don't get a nice 30, 60, 90, 45, 45, 90, whatever, I guess that's a calculator special. That's new to me. First, anyways, let's do this one. Sine, you can see this is more of a special right triangle. That's 60. So 17 times 60. Let's figure that out. 17 times 60. We got 1,020. So I'm going to subtract 720 from that, because I know that's 2 revolutions, 360 and 360. So it's really the same thing as spinning your spinner 300. Now the problem is, this is negative and I kind of forgot about it, but I caught it at the last second. So this would be like going around once. There's 360, 720. We'd have to keep going in that direction, 300. So there's 270 plus 30. It would stop right there, leaving us with a 60. So that's our square root of 3, that's our 1, that's our 2. So what's sine? Opposite over hypotenuse. So square root of 3 over 2. We'll stick a fork in it. All right, these next few problems, kind of interesting. It says simplify. Well, there's a whole bunch of formulas that are just all over the place. Because it's an exam, you can see they're not going to pick the worst of the worst. They're going to pick kind of the simpler ones. So the one that's supposed to be kind of embedded in your mind is sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. There's a theta or an x in there. But that means 1 minus cosine squared. If I took that over, that would equal sine squared over cosine squared. And what I wanted to tell you is there is no formulas given to you. So they expect you to have the basics in your head. So what's sine over cosine? Well, that's tangent. So that would be tangent squared. All right. So now sine secant. Remember the 99.9% of the time rule? We're going to mess with that. What's secant the reciprocal of? Cosine. So that's like sine from here times 1 over cosine, which would just be sine over cosine. So if sine over cosine squared is tangent squared, this must be just tangent. So, not the hardest ones in the world. Again, don't mess with it, don't mess with it, mess with it. So this is cosine of x. That's 1 over cosine minus cosine. And if we just distribute, we'd get 1, because these would cancel, minus cosine squared x, which takes us back to here. Remember we replaced that with sine? We're going to do that again, but it's sine squared x. All right, Let's change both of them. Secant is 1 over cosine. Cosecant is 1 over sine. We always multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. And then we would just simply get sine over cosine again, which would give us tangent again for letter D. All right, here comes some doozies. Yeah, we're going to start a new video. I got to keep these to 15 minutes so YouTube just processes it a lot faster.